All right, welcome back. It's now 25 minutes to 8. This is the way it is. And, well, looking at some of what was happening politically speaking over the weekend and where we are as a country. So NASA counts itself out of the October 26 duel. How do NASA and Jubilee leaders interpret it? Let's listen in to some of the excerpts from both sides.
Wezi kwenda kwa uchaguzi ikiwa kama wezi ndio watakuwa pale. Nataka kwenda kwa uchaguzi kama kiwanja iko sawa.
Uhuru na Chebukati wakisema wanaendelea mbele na uchaguzi, waende mbele na uchaguzi wao, na sisi tutafanya uchaguzi wetu.
The elections will be on the 26th of October, not because of Uhuru Kenyatta and Jubilee, not because of Raila Odinga and his party. Sasa mimi nakuuliza, kama amiri jeshi mkuu wa taifa la Kenya, mtu ambaye jeshi iko under his command, hawezi kubadilisha siku ya uchaguzi, hawezi kukataa kwenda kwa uchaguzi. Sasa wewe mtu ya uganga ya tialala, wewe mtu ya uchawi ya tibin, ati unasema ati hakutakuwa na uchaguzi Kenya. My friend, kichwa yako imeharibika.
All right, so that seems to be the interpretation from Jubilee and NASA. But let me start with you, Emmanuel Nzai from Thirdway Alliance. And what is the interpretation of Thirdway Alliance, given where we are today? As far as NASA is concerned, Raila is going to boycott the election, and it's not going to happen. As far as Jubilee is concerned, elections are set for the 26th. What's Thirdway Alliance position?
Look, I think we'll speak for ourselves. We went into court for us to participate in this election, and we won that court case, which is our right. At this point, I think, again, premised on that, this two leadership is not the future of this country, and that we have a vision for this country, we are the future of this country, and everything that is going on. And when you really listen to the Kenyan people, which we have been paying attention quite a bit, I think the Kenyan people are very tired. Kenyan people are looking forward to somehow closing this chapter.
So come the 26th, what's Thirdway Alliance
Come the
position?
26th, we will be on the ballot. That is our position.
And you're going to the election?
We are going to the election. We listen to IBC. Our position is that IBC and the demands that we put in them and are made very, very specific by the Supreme Court, the Kenyan people know about that. They know about that ruling. They know the predicament that the IBC has at this point. They also are members of all these political parties. Our position is, look, all these two people, the two-horse race narrative, which is coming back to bite us. The leadership that you see is what you are seeing today in terms of that kind of tone, which is going in around the country, on both sides. So I think the Kenyan people, our position is, you have an option, you have an alternative in Thirdway Alliance, in Ekuru and myself.
So you had a meeting with IEBC. Are you satisfied that it's a level playing field and you're ready for the election, given that IEBC is ready?
Look, IBC, yesterday they brought in some of their preparedness items in there. There is still some issues that are very, very evident. That is very true. We have been very, very specific about some of the people who actually were responsible for bungling the election, which the Supreme Court really found them culpable, or the areas which went down. We are still holding that the CEO holds the biggest responsibility in the bungling of that election, and he should not be there.
Okay, but briefly, are you satisfied with IEBC? Are they prepared for the election? That's what I'm trying to find out. Because I'm asking, and you're saying there are issues, and I think we all agree there are issues, but are they ready for the elections? Are you happy as Thirdway Alliance to go into the elections with the IEBC currently as it is?
As it is, and I think with much of the effort they're putting in, despite much of the interferences, we think they're doing what they can, okay? Will they be fully prepared? We do not know. But I think what we saw there is a commission that they're dedicated to do everything that they can, but they're also very, very honest that, look, despite all this, we are up against these two horses who are interfering with our work.
Okay. Edwin Sifuna, NASA's stand on the election of the 26th so far has been there's going to be no election. Is that still the case?
Absolutely, because as I told you, that the law under which the law that was operational at the point of withdrawal of Raila Odinga's candidature was that immediately that withdrawal was received by the chairman of the commission, the election of the 26th stood cancelled under the law as prescribed by the 2013 decision in the Supreme Court.
Okay, then
now, if the law has changed, it has changed after the fact, and it will not act retrospectively. So that even this bill that Uhuru is going to assent to is not going to affect the decisions that have been taken prior to its coming into force. I mean, that is just a basic understanding. Number two, I mean, people like Thirdway Alliance, when you speak about Thirdway Alliance being the future, you know, there is going to be no future for Thirdway Alliance or for anyone in this country if we do not get electoral justice right. So if you are not doing things right now to guarantee that there's going to be a future for Kenya, then you can't talk about the future of Thirdway Alliance. I can tell you for free, Mike, and you see, I'm not one person who's afraid to swallow my words, and let this go on record. I can say here today, there is no future for an entity called Thirdway Alliance. In fact, I can guarantee you that if that sham poll happens on the 26th, these guys will be the first people to concede and send congratulations to the person they are going to coronate so that they can be given positions in government. We know them. These are people who are, there's a history. They had already conceded. In fact, right now, they are the most, they have absolutely no credibility. They cannot talk about a future when they themselves are not going to be part of that future.
Okay, I'll give Zai a chance to maybe respond to what you have to say, but could you clarify Orengo's comments when he said that if the elections go on the 26th, then NASA will also hold their own elections?
Yeah, because whatever is going to happen on the 26th is a coronation of Uhuru Kenyatta. It might have as well be a Jubilee nomination with the acquiescence of people like Thirdway Alliance, who are their flower girls anyway. So for us, we are not going to be, we will not recognize whatever happens on the 26th. It's not an election for the Republic of Kenya. And if, you know, one of the things that people forget is that nobody has monopoly over absurdity. I have said here before that, Mike, if you want to have a conversation that is sober, everyone is capable of having a conversation that is sober. But do not think that you are the only one who can descend to the pits. Because if you go on and hold an election that is not supported by the entire country, we can also do the same.
Okay, so how would that help Kenya if you held
exactly. So everyone must ask themselves, are the actions that you are taking helpful to the country? And I've always said, Mike, that when they say in the superhero movies that with great power comes great responsibility, when you are in power, you have a greater responsibility to protect the constitution and the country. You're not supposed to throw around words like William Ruto here saying, trying to scare us that they are in command of the army. That army is made up of our brothers and sisters as well. So don't threaten us. It's like waving a dead snake at us that because you are the commander-in-chief, you can have your way. That's not the way the country works.
All right. Zai, your response to what Sifuna has to say, Thirdway Alliance basically is non-starter, there's no future, then he says your flower girls just basically waiting to coronate Uhuru, then join the bandwagon.
You know, like you said earlier, NASA joined us in the High Court for us to be included in this election on the 26th. A day before that, they went in to announce that they are boycotting, okay? And we went ahead to win that. As we stand today, NASA has gone in to court again for us not to actually participate. What does that tell you? It tells you that it is about their agenda. And the agenda is not to have an election for whatever reasons that they have. Okay? We are not an appendage of NASA. And the problem that they have right now is, I think, you know, let's face it, the country is totally divided right now, thanks to them and Jubilee. But much of their followers out there are actually confused right now. They're totally confused. And let's also not forget, when we started this election, more than 70% of Kenyans were saying, look, we're not happy with the leadership and the direction of this country. That was an indictment to both NASA and Jubilee. That is the space where we're in.
Okay, so as far as you're concerned, Thirdway Alliance does have a future.
Thirdway Alliance totally has a future, and the future is the souls and hearts of the Kenyan people. The souls and hearts of the Kenyan people are tired people, and they also know about the two-horse narrative. The only thread that these guys have is, I think now that we're on the table, we can talk about it, and we can talk to the Kenyan people directly. They do not want that.
Okay. Honorable Maura, the 26th is fast approaching. We only have 9 days to go. As far as you're concerned, the elections will take place regardless of the fact that that might be dividing the country in half?
I think it is not right to say that you have a monopoly of determining the future of the country. Listening to conversations here, I'm left to wonder whether there is not a veiled threat to the level...
Sorry, let me stop you. I understand there's an issue with microphones, so we'll need to fix that. But as we do that, if NASA is out to repeat the election, it is pushing for a Nusumkate. Is it pushing for a Nusumkate coalition? Jubilee strongly feels that Raila Odinga is routing for a negotiated government. But the NASA leaders say he cannot work with any Jubilee faction. Let's listen in.
Adio, Raila ameenda kule kupayuka kuambia wale watu ati yeye anataka nusu mkate. Anataka nusu mkate kweli? Sisi ni wenye buffalo. Sisi ni wenye buffalo. Wenye buffalo anakwenda kutafuta nusu mkate kweli? Hiyo ni upuzi.
Tunamwambia my friend, sisi tulikuambia hakuna nusu mkate Kenya. Hata uende London hakuna nusu mkate. Hata utoke huko uende Washington hakuna nusu mkate. Njia ya pekee ya kutafuta uongozi Kenya ni kwenda kwa mwananchi, kwenye debe mwananchi wa Kenya aamue.
Safari hii Kofi Annan, you are not welcome to Kenya.
All right, so that's what the leaders had to say. And sorry, we had to pause you, Honorable Maura, on your comments. And as you do that, also the fact that Jubilee views Raila's move as trying to negotiate for Nusumkate. But he has clearly said that between Jubilee and NASA, there's really even no chemistry for them to work together.
Yeah, so I think the point I was trying to say is that you listening to the conversations here, you can't say that then the way you find your way to power is through absurdity. And that absurdity is characterized by people...
Sorry, Honorable Maura, I understand the microphone still has a problem and we'll try and sort that out. But let me come to you, Emmanuel, on the narrative of Nusumkate. Is that even an option that we have as a country?
Well, I think we're kind of going back to do kind of the same mistakes. Why is that conversation kind of coming up right now? That conversation is coming up because the Supreme Court ruled and there was no clear winner in the first election. And now, because we had that same problem in 07 or 08, that we had a Nusumkate, then potentially that's a solution. We think the real solution to this country is still an election that is held credibly, and that can be done. Why is it that it's only Kenya that we have to go through this in the world, where we have the most expensive election on one end, and while we are having an election expensive as it is, we have a whole population which is suffering. We have all government sectors which is suffering. Why? It's again because of the three people who are there, who have been leaders over the last 30 years, who are taking the country in the wrong way. So they seem to not want to do what is right, okay? I'm telling you, if both of them are to leave IBC alone, which is something we have said over and over again, if they're to leave it to do its work and not interfere one with the tendering process. You remember we sat in this studio when we were talking about the Al Ghurair matter, and that was really the tip of the iceberg to where we stand today. All these two people, all of them were fighting for the tender for the printing of the ballots. Why? Because they wanted to control the whole electioneering process with IBC. We are here today, and evidence has come in, even in the Supreme Court and the whole of these court cases, that there was interferences even in the electioneering period where the servers, both NASA and Jubilee, got into them. Okay, so these are very, very clear. Okay, so I think right now they are the same people who everyone they want it so bad they're wanting to get into the State House. That they want to let IBC to do its work so that there's a clear winner, and the Kenyan people know who they're voting
the next president
for.
is.
For all our sake at this point, and I think most of the Kenyan people are now listening, it is very, very clear that there is no leadership. And I'm telling you, we may surprise people as much as they think what they think, but we may get a lot of votes here and get into the State House.
Okay. Maura, sorry about that. Again, I apologize for the sound issue, but yes, your comments.
Yeah, so I think I wanted to say that we cannot have a situation where you have a country where even when you're supposed to peaceably, demonstrate and to picket and to present public petitions, you claim that then you can go down with absurdity. Absurdity to the point that you want to attack police stations. Absurdity in terms of harassing Kenyans when they're doing their business.
On what premise is the accusation of violence to get to power and attacking police stations? Because we must also agree there could be hooligans who are joyriding on this to just create chaos.
Certainly, yes, and those hooligans are well motivated because it's on record that the path that our competitors have decided to use is through violence. It's evident. We have had very peaceful demonstrations, and a very good case in point is the nurses' strike. It has been going on. I don't think we've had, serious cases of violence, and that's a very good example. And Mike, the truth of the matter is, Raila Odinga sensed defeat. The reason why they want fresh nominations is because it's not for the love of this country. It's because there are even talks of how they would want to change their ticket from Raila Kalonzo to Mudavadi Kalonzo. So they want more time to organize the house. In fact, if you listen to them very clearly, they are saying they are broke. They asked for a pay bill number, they used the money, so they said, but they don't want to participate in an election. So they want more time. But I want to say this. Even if that were to happen, Uhuru Kenyatta will still win as president. In fact, I'm agreeing with Kethi Kilonzo's article yesterday in The Standard that their supporters, their support base is being disillusioned. And that is why you can see as many people are crossing over to, and more will. Because now Kenyans can see who really has the intention of the country at heart. When you have a situation where people are even saying they are going to divide the country, and they're even coming up with maps, it's just like the Solomonic wisdom case, where you want to divide the baby in half because you've lost yours. It's exactly the case. And so therefore, I think in my opinion, we need to really know that the only democratic way to get into power is through elections. Now, if you, ab initio, ensure that you bangle elections through dominization of the IEBC, you make sure that we don't have a proper commission 2 years to elections as prescribed by one Johan Kriegler. Then you go ahead, you want to benefit from that. Mike, you come ahead and say there will be no elections because you want to meet violence on electoral officials. You don't want to have an election when you have withdrawn your own candidature, even when, over and above the 2013 opinion, by the way, opinion of Peter Dicta, you have laws that are existing that prescribe the manner in which elections are supposed to be conducted. When you interpret the law only to suit you, and then you make a serious political miscalculation only to realize that is the case, and you proceed ahead to threaten Kenyans, I think Kenyans are seeing. And I would want to say this, that Uhuru Kenyatta does not want to go to State House for his second term through any other way other than the votes of Kenyans, other than through the ballot.
Okay.
And that is what we would want. And that is why, Mike, we are supportive of the IEBC to conduct its role independently. And when we do so, is because we believe in any contest, free and fair, we will win just like we did in on August 8th. And I believe that if you want to misuse the Constitution to create conditions whereby then you want violence, violence can only beget violence.
Okay. Let me hear from Edwin Sifuna as we wind up, because we're out of time. Your closing comments, Edwin.
No, actually, it is quite sad to hear Mwaura say some of these things when I think he rose to fame or to his position because he was nominated to represent people who are actually vulnerable and exposed in this particular society. Now, there is absolutely nobody in their right minds who would storm a police station knowing full well that there's an armory there and those people are armed. What is happening in this country is systematic killing of members of the Luo community. Now, Mike, I will give you an example. Yesterday, it is a strong accusation, and I will make it because it is a deliberate accusation. Yesterday, there was a story about...
supported by any evidence?
Let me explain. Yesterday, there was an attack on a police station in Turkana to free a suspect who had been arrested, and they lynched him outside that police station, set him on fire. Not a single shot was fired. A police station attacked by a marauding mob to get a suspect that has been arrested. When the police have powers in those circumstances, in those specific circumstances, they have powers to use live bullets to save the life of that person that was arrested. Why was it not done? In Bondo, we are being told that 3 people attacked a police station when there is absolutely no evidence to support the fact that, and you in the media, even those bodies, were they found at a police station? I mean, it's a bit ridiculous for us to be able to go with that kind of narrative. What we need in this country, and I want to repeat, what is this obsession with having Raila Odinga on the ballot? He has pulled out. You have your, whatever it is you want to call it on the 26th, without reference to him. I mean, it is his constitutional right not to participate in an election that he feels is not free and fair. So that is the absurdity that I was talking about. I'm saying you want to go to whatever lengths to show us that you are bigger than us. And you see, Mike, when he talks about separating the country, that conversation began because there's a history to it. Being together as a country is much like a marriage. If it is something that you are there of your own volition, but you cannot be victim every day of abuse and the kind of talk that we see from our colleagues from Rift Valley and from Central, and imagine that we will just sit there to be subjugated. We can also chart our own path.
Okay, and Emmanuel Nzai, your closing comments.
Thank you. I think we want to appeal to the Kenyan people that, you know, we realize that the country is divided at this point. We're very, very thankful that the court allowed us to participate in this election. The choices and options that they have are now very, very clear. I think I agree with my friend here for once that Raila Odinga, NASA is boycotting this election. Let them go. But the Kenyan people have a choice to vote on the 26th. Should the IBC have that mandate to conduct those elections? And the choices when they go to the ballot are very, very clear. Reject all these 2 leaders who have brought us to this place in the first place.
Okay.
We are the future of this country, and it's Ekuru Aukot and Emmanuel Nzai on the ballot.
All right, thank you very much, gentlemen. We'll have to wind it up right there. And at 3 minutes to 8, we're going to be releasing KTN Home. And those of us on KTN News, do stay with us. We have some news updates coming up.